Let's talk about Elizabeth Warren and the new Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Lots of controversy about that. And when she appeared before a committee, this is how the discussion went.
We had an agreement.
You had no agreement.
We had an agreement for the time this hearing would occur.
You're making this
you
up.
You asked it.
You're simply, this is not the case.
She just accused the
She's
lady
accusing me
lying.
of making...
Accusing the lady of lying. I mean, what's going on here? Give me a little background on this, Laura.
Well, this was like a little skirmish in a big war. I mean, the big issue is about this new Consumer Protection Agency, how much power it should have. This goes back to the debate that underlied the passage of this law in the first place. But the fight is still going on about whether this agency should be around and how much authority it should have. And it manifested itself at that hearing that you played the clip from.
But is it the agency or is it Elizabeth Warren?
Both.
Well, it's both. 44 senators have signed a letter to Obama saying they won't agree to any new head of this agency unless there are some limits on the powers that it's going to be able to exercise. But some of it's Elizabeth Warren, who was one of the original advocates of creating such an agency. She's a real favorite of liberals. In fact, the Senate, I think, is staying in session over this holiday weekend to prevent President Obama from doing what some liberal groups want him to do, which is a recess appointment of Elizabeth Warren.
So they're gonna hit that off.
Well, I mean, they don't have a choice. I mean, I'm struck, though, that Elizabeth Warren has become such a lightning rod because, you see Elizabeth Warren working with General Petraeus' wife, for example, to stop the kind of fraud that's perpetrated against troops who, are the consumer lending agent. The lending agencies take advantage of these young people because they know they have steady income. Elizabeth Warren stepping in terms of the credit card companies who pass these, get these deals where they have these onerous rates on people, especially poor people in this country. You would think that people could rally around this, but somehow she's come to represent, again, the idea of overly intrusive government, overly regulated, the Obama administration trying to hamstring big business, and that's what it's come down to. And yet, it's not portrayed that way in the papers. It's always, just a controversy over super liberal Elizabeth Warren. But if you look at what's going on here, I think it's a very different story.
Different story, Laura.
Well, it's interesting just because she was asked by President Obama to stand up this agency, but she wasn't given the appointment as actually the head of the agency, and that's why she was before Congress, was because she does have an official role. But it just seems like the writing is on the wall. It's going to be too difficult to appoint her to this job. Now, even if she would do a great job, even despite everything that Juan said, it seems like she's just become too much of a lightning rod.
And now some officials in the Democratic Party are urging her to run for the Senate in Massachusetts against Scott Brown.
Scott Brown, the Republican who was unexpectedly elected to Ted Kennedy's seat. That was one of those special elections seen as a precursor to big Republican gains. That Massachusetts is one of the most Democratic states in the country, and Democrats think surely they can knock off this freshman senator if they get a good candidate. They haven't had a really high-profile candidate yet. She would be the highest-profile candidate if she chose to jump in this race.
Do you think she will?
I don't know. She's not run for office before, I don't believe. And so running for office is kind of its own thing, but maybe it looks tantalizing if she's not going to be able to head this agency.
Well, talk about tantalizing.